Hey, everybody, welcome back to the I Play 2 podcast. I'm your host, Rob Adler. This week, college basketball player J.B Bickerstaff joins the show. This season at James Madison, TJ had 21 points and 14 rebounds in James Madison's upset win on the road at Michigan State. Prior to JMU, TJ played both at Boston College and at Drexel, where he won a conference championship and played in the 2021 NCAA tournament. As a high school senior in Georgia, TJ was selected for a Player of the Year by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. His uncle, J.B. Bickerstaff, is the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and his grandfather, Bernie Bickerstaff, spent 15 years as an NBA head coach and won an NBA title as an assistant with Washington in the late 1970s. TJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
My first question is, although it kind of sounds like it's in the blood a little bit, how did you get involved with basketball?
Well, it's like you said, it's in the blood. I was around my dad's side of the family a lot growing up. My dad, he played sports. My uncle, they all played sports and everything like that, and they coached as well. So I was always around the game. I remember I was like a ball boy when I was little, I believe around 8 or something like that. So I used to be at NBA games all the time, being a ball boy, rebounding and stuff like that, being around the greats. I was ball boy for prime Derrick Rose back when he was with the Bulls. So I feel like those experiences led me to becoming a basketball player myself.
What was it like to see Dereck Rose up close and in person at such a young age?
Man, it was like crazy. I don't even think I realized how special that was at that age. Because you're so close, you get to learn different things. You can see how they warm up, stuff like that. I feel like that was just very special just to be around that.
Was there anyone else that you saw as a ball boy that really made an impression on you?
I'm from Atlanta, so I went to a lot of Hawks games whenever my uncle would come in or my grandpa. And I think that was back when Jeff Teague was there. I used to love watching them. It was like Jeff Teague, Mike Bibby, Al Horford, Joe Johnson, Josh Smith. Yeah, that was crazy. Now I think about it.
Just say Bibby and Horford, they have some pretty good bloodlines as well.
Yeah, for sure. Al's still playing.
That's a guy like LeBron. He could play to 50 if he wants to.
Yeah, still be productive too.
When you're around your dad, your uncle, your grandfather, what's it like to just talk basketball with people who've been in the game for so long? And I know your dad played football, but I know he played a little bit of basketball as well.
I think just being around those knowledgeable guys, it teaches you a lot naturally. I tend to ask a lot of basketball related questions to them, especially through like my senior year of high school all the way to about now. That's when I first started asking them multiple questions. What does it take? What do scouts look for? What would it take for me to make it to this next level and things like that, as well as things about playing in the game, like IQ plays and stuff like that. And I think this is a rare situation because a lot of kids my age, they don't exactly have that NBA knowledge around them their whole lives and stuff like that. So I feel like it's definitely a blessing to be born into that, as well as having the opportunity to just learn. I mean, I feel like it's really rubbed off on me. And I believe all those questions I asked ended up paying off, especially now.
From asking all of those questions, what's something that you took away that you said, I need to get better at?
I would say playing hard and like how much energy you bring to the game. Because I remember I was talking to my grandpa about kind of what sets you apart from other players and stuff. He's more old school on how he teaches the game and how he gives advice. So he would just tell me the energy that you bring, you have to bring something that's going to make someone want to keep you, make someone need you, make a team need you. So it's the energy that you have and you playing hard, not taking breaks on defense and just not taking plays off in general. He used to tell me to sprint the floor all the time as well, too, because for my size, I'm very fast. So certain small details like that he mentioned matters so much that he sees, because once you get to a certain level, everyone can do the same thing in terms of skill set wise. Everyone can shoot the ball, everyone can handle the ball and things like that. But the difference is, are you going to play defense every single time down the floor? Are you going to sprint the floor every single time? Focus on those things and be aggressive finishing at the rim, and you'll be fine. That's some advice that really helped me.
In terms of a game, whether that's high school or college, is there a game that comes to mind where you really focused on those details that helped the team to victory?
Yeah, I would say this year, I'm just gonna use Michigan State. I had a good game because I did those small details, and being at JMU, I'm allowed to use my whole skill set. So it just added an emphasis towards what I already did and what I prepared for. And I had some times at Boston College as well because my role was very different at Boston College. So I was more of a defender, and my role was more so to defend and run the floor and things like that. So I did those really well while I was there and rebound as well. One game was Clemson at Clemson, and it was a close game, and we won. In that game, I had some like crucial plays in terms of defense. I had a crucial block as well as some rebounds, and I had a crucial layup towards the end of the game. And I feel like I did the small details really well in that game, and I feel like that's how I made a name for myself while I was in the ACC.
The Michigan State game. What was that like to go on the road to, at that point, a top 5 ranked team and pull off an upset that pretty much no one saw coming?
It was a great feeling, but it's like we didn't expect anything less from our team, honestly, because in practice, we all know how skilled we are. And we knew that multiple teams would struggle with us because we have so many players who can produce. It's not just one or two players that's going to produce. We got people who can come off the bench and they can give you like 10 points or they can hit clutch shots. We have all that. So we were never really scared of the competition. And I think not being scared of the competition allowed us to play at our highest level and take down this team.
Whether it's yourself or Terrence Edwards Jr. or Michael Green, what's the importance of knowing the role on the team? Because you talked a little bit about Boston College, your role's different than it is this year at JMU. How important is that, not only for you to know your role, but for every player on the team to know their role?
I think it's very important, and this is how teams win. If everyone plays their role, at the end of the year, everyone will win in their own individual situations. So if you take out the individualness and the selfishness and things like that, you're going to win. And winning in college basketball, it only brings you better things. It brings you way more opportunities after the season's done, even in the season. And I believe we all understand that. Everyone on this team understands that they got to do what they got to do to help this team win. And we're going to be good in the end. We all had that same mindset. So that's why we're doing so well.
How did playing in the ACC, especially on the road, whether we're talking at Cameron, the Dean Dome, etc., help you prepare for going on the road to start the season at tough places like East Lansing and on the road as well at Kent State, which is no easy feat either?
I think it prepared me a lot, honestly, because it didn't feel like a new feeling to me, like being in such a big arena with so many fans. And that's what I'm grateful for, too, from my time in the ACC. So I could really just focus on basketball, not focus on the crowd or be nervous or anything like that. I can just play basketball.
Even though it's your first year at JMU, you're a veteran of the college game. How were you able to communicate the fact that it's just another game to maybe some of your teammates that hadn't played in an environment like Michigan State or Kent State?
The thing is, I really didn't have to, and that's why I love this team. I didn't have to get in their heads and say like, yo, this is just another game. Don't worry about the crowd or none of that. Like I told you before, our team is on the same level mentally. We're all locked in. We're not scared of big moments or anything like that. We're very confident. I feel like that's very rare for colleges, and that's why we'll keep winning.
As impressive as the victories against Michigan State and Kent State were, I watched the game against Fresno State where you guys basically just came out and literally punched them in the mouth. It was almost a one-punch knockout. How were you guys able to start that game, which was a championship preseason tournament game, to be so good and just say, we're not messing around?
I think that was because of our last game. That game was way closer than it should have been. And I think we all knew that. So we had a lot of energy coming into the second game. And we was like, yeah, we're not going for that again. We just going to blow this team out and continue to blow them out. That's really what happened with that. Because when we played SIU, which is Southern Illinois, that was too close of a game for us. We just had to make it back up for the next game.
Just from a fan perspective, that was ridiculous. I was watching it,
Yeah.
I think it was like 17-2, and I'm like, well, I don't think I have to continue.
It was crazy. It was crazy on the court too, honestly. I thought they would give us more of a fight that game.
Taking a step back here, you grew up in a Atlanta suburb of Tyrone, which is known for producing Calvin Johnson and a few other NFL players as well. What was Tyrone like to grow up in?
It was nice. It was just a small town, like real small town. Everybody know each other. Every time I go home, I'm gonna see someone I know. It's like one of those towns. Everybody's supportive too. People from home, they still be supporting me today. Before I went to college, that's why it was so different. When I went to Drexel, Drexel's in the city, so it was like a very different lifestyle feel for me because in Tyrone, it's like the South. Not super country, but it's just a little bit country. But it was very small. I love home. It was real quiet.
Would you mind elaborating a little bit more on the transition from a small town to big city Philadelphia?
I grew to love Philly over time. I remember in the beginning, it was so different for me. It was like real loud, especially when I'm trying to go to sleep. Like I'm hearing cars, trains, all that. I had to get used to all that. Had to get used to the cold, not seeing the sun for a few months and stuff like that, living up north. But overall, I had a good experience. I met great people out there. I went to some Sixers games for sure. Those were fun. I remember I actually saw Ben Simmons. He hit his first three, either of his career in the NBA or of the season. Everyone went crazy. Like it got loud in there. That was a cool experience. I love Philly though. I want to go back.
So I know a couple other people who've lived in Philly for a little while. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked them. What's your favorite cheesesteak place?
You got to get it from Reading Terminal Market. That's where I go. It's not like a cheesesteak spot, but they have multiple restaurants inside of the market. So like you have to go in there and find it yourself. But they're all different spots. I know they'll tell you the basic spots to get cheesesteaks, but I don't think those are the best. You gotta go to Reading Terminal.
Reading Terminal, something else. If you can't find food at Reading Terminal, you don't eat.
Yeah, they got the best food.
When you lived there, what was your favorite place to go at Reading Terminal?
It was a Cajun spot. They used to have jambalaya there. I used to eat there all the time. I can't remember the name of it, but I would have the jambalaya rice and it had like shrimp and sausage in there. That was my favorite spot. Oh, they had a breakfast spot in there that was really good too. They got a lot of restaurants and different types of food. So yeah, it was very different, but I enjoyed it. I definitely had to go back to Reading Terminal. That would be my first stop.
How did you end up at Drexel? What was the recruiting process for you like?
Man, this is actually a crazy story. So my high school career was very weird. And when it was time for me to start settling down on schools that I actually wanted to commit to, it just got crazy. First, I originally was going to commit to Memphis. That's the school that I always wanted to go to. Since my junior year of high school, I wanted to go to Memphis because Coach Tubby Smith was there. He was recruiting me heavy. He wanted me to go to that school. And I liked what he was doing out there. So that was going to be my first commitment or the school that I dreamed of going to. And then he had ended up getting fired and he got a new job. So I think it was around the time where I wanted to make my decision. That happened. Then I'm like, all right, that school is down. Then I had my second option, which was UConn. There was an assistant coach at UConn, and Coach Kevin Ollie was there. They would always check in on me and come to the games and stuff and recruit heavy. That was probably going to be like my second option. And then next thing you know, Kevin Ollie, I believe he got fired. Can you remember did he get fired?
He got fired, and I believe he sued the university.
That situation happened. And then another part of it was AAU. So AAU, I played with Team Charlotte on the Under Armour circuit. I didn't have my best showing, I don't believe. And I don't think coaches were really just offering me in terms of bigger names and stuff like that or bigger schools. But the coaches who did watch me was Drexel, Purdue, Fort Wayne as well. And those were the final two options that I had in high school because I appreciated them so much for still watching me even through the type of season that I had. It wasn't a terrible season. It was just I wasn't able to show my full skill set and everything with that program. So going into my senior year, I wanted to make a decision before the season. I felt like anybody who came in after, once I started succeeding in my high school, because I knew I was going to do really good and have a good year. So I felt like anybody who came in after that, that would be hard to trust them in terms of them actually wanting me. Because I wanted to be someone's first option. Because, in college basketball, if you're a recruit in high school and you're not somebody's first option, it might be tough for you throughout the years because they might not see the same vision that you see and everything like that. So I wanted to go with a school who had a similar vision to mine. So I chose Drexel. It was a good choice at the time for sure.
Your sophomore year there, you went to the NCAA tournament. I know it wasn't the outcome you wanted, but what was it like just to get to the big dance?
It was amazing because I remember being in high school, I used to just watch the games on my phone whenever I had a break or something, just watch March Madness and everything. So I know how big it was. Like you said, it wasn't the best outcome, but it was definitely an experience that I want to experience again and get my second chance at.
From just being at the tournament with everything that goes on, the media and all that stuff, was it kind of an eye-opening situation just because Drexel doesn't get the national attention that, let's say, a bigger school like Duke or UCLA or Purdue, somebody like that gets?
I think that was my first time being exposed to that, especially in college. Being from like a smaller school, like a mid-major school, you're not used to being around all that media and stuff like that. At Drexel, that was my first experience at March Madness, having the cameras on you, interviews, everything like that. I think it all prepared me for this situation that we're in right now.
After the tournament with the media and stuff like that, did you talk to either your grandfather, your uncle, or your dad about maybe how to handle the situation a little bit better if the situation came about?
No, not really. That's the thing too. I don't really have to ask them too much, and I try not to because I like to learn hands-on and learn through my own experiences. So I would literally just watch their interviews, how they handle talking to media and stuff like that. That's really how I learned to do it.
How did you end up at BC from Drexel?
I felt like my time was done at Drexel after my sophomore year. I really wanted to make a name for myself, basically. And I entered the transfer portal. I didn't really know where I was going or anything like that. And then I remember I saw Coach Grant. Coach Grant, he recruited me when I was in high school too, when he was at College of Charleston. So I was already familiar with him. So when I entered the portal and everything like that, I felt comfortable with that decision too, because I knew he'd seen me since high school. I felt real comfortable going with him, especially I saw that he just got the new job in the ACC. So I felt like this was my time to get a shot in the ACC, be able to play multiple minutes on like the biggest stage. That's what I really saw at the time. So I felt like I took advantage of that. And I like how he is as a man, all that stuff. Everything about his program I really like.
How hard was it for you to adjust to the level of competition, at least at the beginning? Because the ACC and who BC was playing was certainly a step up from Drexel.
It was eye-opening for sure, but it let me see that, okay, there's not so much of a difference between mid-major and high major, honestly. The only difference is size and physicality, maybe, and that's rare. Because I feel like playing mid-major, you have to play with more IQ. And I feel like playing high major is more so just talent as well as just playing free-flow basketball, at least through what I've experienced. But I say finishing, getting to the basket and stuff like that, I really had to learn because you're playing against real athletic 7-footers who are like really skilled, got good hand and eye coordination and stuff like that. So that was my biggest thing that I had to learn, especially playing in the ACC. And I think that really helped now with me finishing baskets and stuff like that. Because you're going up against guys like Paolo Banchero. He was there at Duke my junior year. I was hurt that game, so I was mad I couldn't really play in that game. But playing against Armando Bacot, I'm glad I was just battle tested. I held my own. I got more rebounds than such and such, who was probably like a 5-star in high school talent. So the adjustment really was mentally. I felt like I needed to see it for myself. Are they really that much better than me? And can I compete with these guys? Can I go to the next level? Things like that. I think that's what the ACC really helped me see.
Did you get a chance to play against Dereck Lively?
Yeah, I did. I played him last year. He's tough. He's great at doing his job. He blocks shots. He'll catch lobs. Like, you can't even block it. You can't do none of that. But I see he's been doing really good in the league, too.
I am a huge Dallas Mavericks fan, so that's why I asked. My question is, when you're trying to defend somebody who has a wingspan like that, What's the game plan to try to at least slow him down?
You got to be physical with him. You got to hit him outside of the paint, block his path to the basket, things like that. You got to do small stuff to get those guys out of the paint, because if they're skilled enough and they got the coordination and you give them the ball inside the paint, like I say over 50% of the time they're making the shot, maybe 60. So you got to do all the small little details beforehand. Do your work early.
As somebody who's my height, I could do all the work early you can do, and you're still dunking on me.
Some of them will get you.
You could probably jump over me. I'm so short.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'3".
5'3"?
Yeah.
You can. I probably can. I haven't jumped over no one.
Well, I could be the first.
Yeah, I'll try it out.
You talked about finishing, and a recent game against Buffalo, you had a dunk, which I swear I thought the shot clock was going to come down. I don't know if you remember the basket specifically, but how has learning how to finish been able to raise the level of your game?
Oh, it raises it so much because I'm a problem in the paint now. You got to do something extra or I'm just going to make the shot. Like if I get the ball in the paint, I think it's like a 60% chance or something I'm going to make the shot. Like in my mind, I'm not really going to miss it. I know I missed a few easy ones last game, but for the most part, I think it just helps a lot being able to finish because those are like easy baskets that can help the team and stuff like that. I'm just glad my point guards, they can find me. They'll find me every time if I'm open. I just got to do my job and finish it.
When you're on a team right now that is really going, what's the key to keep that role going for the rest of the year, that you don't stumble, you don't hiccup, anything like that?
It's mental toughness. That's all it is. Every game, basically, we have to take the same mentality that we've had from the very beginning of the season when we got some really important wins. We got those wins because we didn't crack or fold in tough times, or even if we were up on a team a lot, we didn't fold. Those mindsets, we need to make sure that we can copy that and carry it over to every single game. We know how it feels now, so we know if we're out of it, and we can always snap back into it, make sure we got people on the same mindset and on the right path and things like that. So I think that's all we got to do. Just mimic the mindset that we've had since the very beginning of the season and continue to do that. We'll be fine.
With the conference season getting ready to be upon us, you've kind of gone from the hunter to the hunted. What's it like to have a target on your back every night, knowing you're going to get the opponent's best shot?
I don't think we notice that. We don't notice that we're being hunted because we normally do the hunting. We're still the underdogs. I'm used to having that mindset of being the underdog because everybody we played, they always thought they was going to beat us and things like that. They always thought it was like an easy game and stuff like that. I'm used to battling and competing. And like I said before, like my teammates, they have the same mindset. They're used to battling and competing every single game. They don't care about what numbers next to our name or anything like that. We're not worried about being hunted because we're fighting for something bigger.
When you got back to campus after the road wins of Michigan State, Kent State, you're now being ranked in the top 25. What was the reaction from the students like?
They were happy. They were loving it. Everybody was happy. Everybody just loves the culture and what's going on. I love it too. It feels great. Nice to have people support you. And honestly, I feel like if we lost, none of them would treat us any differently. They would all still love us, still support us and things like that. And that's really appreciated. There's critics and everything like that. So it's always great to hear, especially your fan base and the people in your community supporting you. It's very important, especially the players. I don't think a lot of people know that. We see what everyone says and things like that. So the more you support us, the more it's going to help the program.
For people who've never been, what's Harrisonburg like as a city?
It's small, but it's very beautiful though. Shenandoah Valley, I believe that's the name. That's about 30 minutes away, but you can still see the mountains and everything like that. It's a very beautiful small town.
Have you been to Mr. J's Bagels yet?
Yes, I have. That's a great breakfast spot, I'm not gonna lie. Give me a nice everything bagel with some eggs, sausage, and bacon, hash browns. That's a great breakfast.
My favorite bagel place in North America, man. I wish I could get there more often.
I'll save some. If you come to JMU, I'll get a bagel.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I love spots like that.
Have you thought about looking ahead to possibly playing professionally, whether it's in the NBA or overseas?
That's always been my goal, but I don't really think about it individually too much because the main goal is just to win. Us winning on the court is going to help us after the season and with different opportunities. So that's the most important thing right now. So I don't really look too much into that.
You are definitely somebody who is focused on the next game and not really much more after that.
Yeah, I just want to win. I'm in a position where I can show people what I can do, how I can help a team. And we're in a position as a team to put people on notice, get all the exposure that we can, and be really one of them teams.
When you look at what Florida Atlantic did last year, let's say, in their run to the Final Four, let's say a team like VCU did in 2011, do you look at those teams and go, hey, why not us?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think a lot of people understand that basketball is changing now, especially because of the transfer portal. That's why all these mid-major teams that people are seeing now, they're beating these ranked high major teams and they're actually playing good basketball. It's not really luck or like because the team has a bad game. They're just a good team. They're experienced players. The game is switching. It's switching from getting high-level freshmen and things like that. People are going to the transfer portals now, so everything is kind of changed up. A lot of fans are getting adjusted to that because I don't think they're used to their schools losing to like these certain teams that they don't expect them to lose to. So I love how it's spread out.
For people who aren't as familiar with college sports and the transfer portal, could you kind of talk a little bit more about how the transfer portal works?
Yeah, the transfer portal it depends on how many years of eligibility that you have. So for me, I'm a grad student, so I have a grad year after my senior year of college. Every player has that. They got one extra year they can have, which would be their fifth year. Let's say you're a freshman, you have 3 years that you're eligible. You can say four if you count the grad student years. But the thing is, I can't remember how many times you can transfer because I feel like they changed the rule to where you can transfer as much as you want now. I think so. Let's say like freshman year, you didn't like where you were at, you can transfer. And then once you enter the portal, you make it public. I believe there's a site where coaches can look and see what players are in the portal as well. And they can go in there and kind of recruit as well.
You hear the term transfer portal a lot, but I don't think many people know actually what it is.
It's just a pool of players who are looking for a spot, basically, to simplify it.
Being a grad student, and I looked online to see what you were studying, it said you were studying cyber management and
Mhm.
cybersecurity. What intrigues you about that field?
I actually do like it, I'm not gonna lie, because it actually has taught me a lot already, especially about ransomware attacks and stuff like that. Ransomware attacks, phishing attacks, all these different tactics that scammers or people trying to get your information will do to get access to your stuff. I wouldn't know that if I didn't take this class. We're starting to learn a little bit about coding now and like gathering information from Twitter and stuff through different coding sites. It's pretty cool.
Away from the court, what do you like to do?
I'm a producer for music. I make beats for some artists every now and then I'll just chill or like I'll get on the game with my friends. Something simple.
What's a favorite music or beat that you've made for somebody, and how would somebody be able to go to find that?
You can find it on SoundCloud. I started last year, so I have new collabs and stuff coming out now because it kind of takes a while to get into the music business and work with people. But I've sent beats to some artists. I'm not sure if anyone will know. Saw Baby, I've sent beats to him. Still working on getting some more stuff out there, but I don't think a lot of people know that.
For somebody who edits an audio myself, what software do you use?
I use FL Studios. That's like the main one that a lot of people use, but I got to get a new computer. My computer storage is bad. But I think it's all my old schoolwork and stuff.
Away from the court, whether it's with your grandfather or your uncle, what's a favorite memory that you have with them?
I'll say my uncle's wedding. That was so fun. I think it was in Mexico. I was like 8 years old. I remember we was in the ocean. That was fun. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite memories because like we were all together at that time.
How
That's
important is family to you? Because it sounds like you're pretty tight with yours.
yeah, family's everything, honestly. Growing up in this life, you're gonna need people. Can't do everything by yourself, and you need good, genuine people around you. That's all you should want, and that's all you should attract. So I think it's very important to have that love for family and have that good, genuine family that would do anything for you, and you would do the same.
What would it be like to play for your uncle?
I think that would be great. I've definitely thought about that before. I feel like it would put me in a very comfortable situation where I can just get better and have people that'll always have my best interests. So basically, I don't have to worry about the trust piece or any of that, and I can just focus on basketball and just getting better. So I think that would definitely be a blessing as well. I'm good either way because I like learning through experience. So if it's not with them anywhere else, just got to learn my way through. Got the knowledge that I need, but it would be a blessing though.
With all the different places that you've been, how has social media helped you kind of keep in touch with all those former teammates and friends you've made?
It's been actually really helpful because it allows them to continue to keep up with my games, keep up what's going on with my life a little bit. But I like texting people to check in and stuff like that. I rather text or like call and check in. So I do that every now and then with my former teammates. I still talk to my old teammates from Boston College and Drexel as well. So it's really cool to keep those connections. That's a beautiful piece about basketball. Like you meet so many people in so many different fields. Nice, good, genuine people. Yeah, that's cool.
TJ, I want to thank you so much for coming on the I Play Two podcast today and talking about your basketball career, the win at Michigan State, the importance of family. And I wish you continued success at JMU and wherever your basketball career takes you. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. This was great.